Welcome to Teen Up, a podcast that digs deeper into the thoughts of teenagers' mind about the wonders of the world.
If you're new here, I'm your host, Isabella.
And I'm Glenn. If you're not, welcome back.
Here is a quick disclaimer. We are two teenagers that are doing our best to research everything. However, we are not experts, so if we offend anyone or say something wrong, we want to apologize in advance. Please email us to tell us what was wrong. Thank you.
This week, we are going to talk about love relationships. It will be a more relaxed episode where we will give out some advice and chat about it.
Both of us don't have any experience, so take these advice with a grain of salt.
It's like those, commercials and, saying that, what we say in the commercial doesn't really mean that it's real or something like that.
Yeah, I have experience from, listening to other have problems, but no experience myself. Okay, so we've sort of have a list of questions that we're going to answer here. And yeah, we'll start with the first one. What advice about love relationships?
I'd say communication.
Yeah, that is for sure something that we're going to get to in another question.
Okay.
So I saw this website. There are a few advice or, quotes about love relationships. So the first one, it says, love is a verb. It basically means you should have action and let your partner know that you actually love them. Actions speak louder than words, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to show them that you love them, not just tell them that you love them.
And I think there's this thing called love language,
Right.
And people are saying that you should know your partner's love language so you guys can show your love better, I think.
So there are 5 different love language. I believe the first one is physical touch.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one is affirmation, which is where, you tell this person oh, you're so pretty, or telling them that you love them through words mostly. And the third one is quality time, which is you spend time with your partner, watching TV shows together or going on a date.
Mm-hmm.
The fourth one is acts of service, which is you help your partner do things maybe help out with the chores if you live together, or give your partner a massage or something like that.
I know the last one. I know it's gift, right?
Right. It's receiving gifts. So you would gift the other person to show your love. Okay. The other advice is in a fight, there are no winners. So when you get into a fight with your partner, you don't have to win. It's normal to have different opinions. It's normal to have different thoughts. So, winning isn't the main thing here.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're trying to prove yourself right, or you're trying to win this fight with your partner, I feel it would make this relationship unequal. You're higher than the other person, and it would make the other person feel maybe they're less, or they would feel bad about being wrong or something like that.
Right.
And especially if both sides are really strong, they don't give up, this fight is going to go on forever if you think that someone has to win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's super important. I feel some people are just cares about winning so much that they're hurting their loved ones, which I feel is just too much sometimes.
Oh my God, people who like to compare.
Yes. Okay, so these are the 2 advice that we would give to people who are in love relationships. Second question. What is the most important part of maintaining a love relationship? What do you think, Glenn?
Well, again, communication.
Right, that is true. According to a study, communication, life skills, self-management, knowledge of your partner, sex, stress management, and conflict resolution are 7 really important parts to maintaining a love relationship. So I'm going to go deeper into communication and leave the other 6 out. When communicating, you want to avoid phrases you always do something, or you never care about me. Those type of phrases are very hurtful because the other person, they're most likely to have done that. You can't just say you always or never.
Right. But, it's such a normal thing that people do because when people fight, I'll be just like, oh, Isabella, you always fudge up your recordings.
But then I would be like, but I don't always. I sometimes don't. And
that would be kind of hurtful to the other person.
Yeah. So just be mindful of how you're speaking. Like you could say, I feel disrespected when blah, 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 blah. Or like, I feel sad when you do something. Like you should give out more specific examples than, just saying, you always play video games and never go out with me. Something like that.
Well, but what I'm thinking here is like these advice, they sound good on paper.
What do you mean?
If you really think about it, it's kind of true. Like you're mad for a reason. And that reason is not going to be because that person didn't flush the toilet for 3 times. So saying you always is just kind of true.
No, wait. No. Okay. So maybe 7 out of 10 times that person doesn't flush toilet, but then 3 times that person does. And you're only going to focus on the 7 times because that's something that annoys you, gets you frustrated. And you're going to overlook the 3 times that person did it, but like to that person, like your partner would be like, I think that those 3 times that I did it, I'm very proud of myself. Like I remembered, but you're overlooking that and just getting mad at me for the other 7 times, so you can't say always.
Well, I think it's just such a idealistic advice that everybody give.
But I guess it's super important.
Yes, it's important for sure. But I just feel like no one can really like do it. So I'm thinking here about communication is that it's something that you can be peaceful and talk about things. But you don't suck it up most of the time. You just say it. So instead of like dropping a huge bomb, you light up things separately, smaller.
What? No, I don't know.
So, you can keep your cool and talk things more peacefully. Say, somebody, can you just like flush the toilet? Instead of like, get in here, why didn't you flush the toilet? Stuff like that.
I mean, there's gonna be a breaking point somewhere, sometime. So I mean, I guess at first it's going to be like little reminders, but then it's gonna build up.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So release the energy before it builds up. I'd say that's what I think the most important part of communication is. Because if you can, release this energy from day to day, it wouldn't build up and just like blow up in everybody's faces one day.
I mean, I suppose you see it that way because you don't feel like confronting someone is very awkward, but confronting someone's very awkward.
I mean, only if you think it is.
No, because like that's just us being different here. So your personality is, I guess, more aggressive.
I wouldn't say aggressive per se. I'm not like aggressive. I'm just, more decisive.
Okay. Am I like not supposed to roll my eyes? I'm just kidding. Okay, so that's that. Communication is super important. And like Glenn said, understand each other's love language is super important because if you're giving out love the way that you think you are, like the way that you think you want it, that person might not feel the same. So that person might feel like, oh, you don't love me enough. You make me feel insecure or something like that. So do make sure that you figure out what that person wants. And if you don't know what you want, you could just take a love language test online.
That's a thing?
That is.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's like free tests, free quizzes that you could take. So this next one from another website is respect. You should totally be listening to your partner and your partner should do the same. So yeah, it's just respect between people.
Right.
And you should also, I think that one thing that people always have issues doing is not respecting each other's privacy or boundaries. And boundaries is another thing in relationships. You should be setting boundaries.
I guess telling them who you're going out with is fine.
Like, don't limit that person's friend.
Yeah.
Like, friend group. So, This next one, super important. Trust. Trust is one main thing in relationships. Like, don't ever make your partner feel like they can't be trusted or like they can't trust you.
Right, definitely. And I feel like a big part of trust is about like not lying about things, which kind of connects back to communication. Just like tell the truth, because it is always better than lying.
Right. And there's one thing that people do very often. So one person may have experienced, lack of trust in relationships, and that person may be A and B. So A might have experienced his or her past relationships being cheated on, and A would be very conscious about B's actions or like who B is hanging out with, because A does not want to get cheated on again. But A could get really manipulative and like control whatever B does. So this is like an example of not having enough trust for your partner. I think you should just let B be and BB. Okay. Like, let your partner be. Don't try to control or like question your partner too much. You have to like, learn to trust that person. Another thing that's super important in a relationship is support. You should always let your partner know that you support them, that you are someone that they can rely on, or you can always stick up for them in situations that person isn't able to handle.
Right.
Right, but don't get like over supportive to like possessive.
Like going to their every
hangout. Like, you should like be protective but not possessive. You should encourage them to be able to, spend time with friends and family, make them feel confident, make them work towards their personal goals, and have a life outside of your relationship. I feel like some relationships are just so closed off that both people don't have lives and they only have each other, which is bad, because what if they break up?
Right, totally.
And I feel like these two people could have overlapping friends, but not like all of them are overlapped.
So, in short, get a life, man.
Okay, after the break, we're gonna figure out what's different between friendship and love relationships.
Welcome back. Now we're getting into the conversation of the difference between friendship and love relationship.
Okay, so moving on to the next question. What do you think is the difference between friendship and love relationships? What do you think, Glenn?
I think it is like there's like this fine line between friendship and love relationship. But to what I see, I feel like most human relationships are fundamentally the same. I know that's going to be a little bit controversial, but I think they are fundamentally the same, because you are dealing with another person who has, different interests, different backgrounds, a lot of things different, and you are learning to, live with this person or work with this person. But I just think that eventually your love relationship is just going to be just like your friendship. I mean, in a way. But you guys are like way closer.
So I guess like there's also a saying like the person you love is your best friend or something like that. So I guess that's like super true, because somewhat that person is your best friend. So basically, by definition, friendship is more like between two or more people rather than just two, which is romantic relationship is only between two people. Love relationships is like a feeling of personal attraction towards another person before like establishing a real relationship. You could like feel you guys have some type of connection, whereas friendship, you have to have the foundation of a relationship. You could think that this person is like really cute but not be close to them, but friendship, you have to somewhat be close to them in order to call it a friendship.
I mean, you don't necessarily need to be friends before you guys are dating. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Okay, so love relationship is restricted to two people, but I mean, some could be like free relationships, but that would be like an exception, I suppose. So yeah, it's more restricted to 2 people, and friendships don't involve like any restrictions unless you're like a very toxic or very manipulative friend. But basically, it's not like there shouldn't be restrictions on like, oh, you shouldn't hang out with this person or stuff like that.
Yeah, right.
And in a love relationship, I feel like there is more commitment rather than in a friendship, because friendships could like end really fast or start real fast. But love relationship is something that you have to build, and you can't just like break it in a moment of time.
I mean, it's like, because relationships between people and everyone is different, so you can't really say that there's like a model for all relationships or a pattern or stuff like that.
True.
Yeah, so I just thought, everybody can be different, and all the things that we said are not, it might not apply to you. So I guess it really comes down to what you
think.
Yeah, right. And like, what do you want? And I do feel like this can change over time. So I guess it's just a matter of discovering.
Right. Okay. Love relationships often also involve, physical or like sexual relationship, but friendships don't necessarily have those. I mean, you could if you want, but just not necessarily all people have those between friendships. And there's this interesting thing that I saw on the internet. It says that love involves a more profound sense of attachment, and there's more attraction, which friendships don't have that deep feeling.
Right.
Okie dokes. Next is something that I guess a lot of people are interested in. It's tips and tricks to tell if someone likes you. Sounds like a really preteen YouTube video kind of vibe, but I'm pretty sure you're wondering that if someone likes you or not. So let's get straight into it. So I'm going to talk about 5 clues. The first clue is mutual eye contact. If someone doesn't like you, obviously they're not even going to look at you. If that person likes you, they're going to look at you more often than just, neutral relationships. And if you really like that person as well, you're going to be looking at that person as well. So you guys are going to like look at each other at the same time sometime. Number 2, physical touch. So if you don't like this person, obviously you're not going to touch them, or you don't know this person that well, you're not going to touch them. Like those people that you see on the subway, you're not going to touch anyone. Like that'd be super, super strange. Don't do that, guys. But like having some physical contact, like, a pat on the shoulder or like bumping into each other, that is like getting into the other person's personal space. And if that person lets you do that comfortably, I guess there's something between you guys. But if that person is like a especially touchy person, like that person does that to everyone, just touches everyone, then that means nothing. But if that person's like has a good space between people, and that person doesn't want that space between you and that person, then that means he or she has some feelings for you.
Right.
Okay, so third one, inward leaning. So that means they would lean towards you when they're talking to you and want to, decrease the distance between you guys. Instead of like, if you're going on a date, that person wouldn't want to sit across from you. They would like want to sit next to you instead. And I saw this one like a long time ago, but it's like when someone enters a room and that person likes you, that person's most likely going to be like searching for you if there's like a lot of people in the room. So him or her body would be facing towards you and always looking your way. Okay. And this fourth one is actually quite cool. It's called mirroring. So if you're sitting across from each other, that person would do exactly what you're doing. If you're like having a sip of water, that person's gonna have a sip of water as well. You guys are just gonna have like a same motions or body positions.
Well, this is actually interesting.
Why?
Because I didn't know about it.
Oh, really?
But I mean, does it necessarily means that person likes you? Because like if you're yawning, then I probably want to yawn.
Yeah, but that's okay. Wait, that thing. Okay, so if you feel like someone's looking at you constantly, pretend to yawn. And if that person is looking at you, that person's gonna yawn. So then you could tell if that person's looking at you. Super cool. Okay, so this last one is barriers. I didn't know about this one. So basically, okay, again, sitting across from each other, if there's like a cup between you guys, or like a bowl, or like, a vase, then that person probably doesn't feel, not necessarily uncomfortable around you. They don't like you that much to, move all the things between you guys aside. So yeah, basically that person would, want to feel closer to you, so they would remove the barrier between you guys.
Wait, but then I always remove the barrier.
Really?
I like space. What can I say?
Okay. So that was the 5 tips. And last one. Do you think love relationship and sexual relationship coexist?
Depends.
True. So sex isn't necessary. Some people have like many reasons for not wanting physical relationships. Like it could be like low sex drive, but some people may view it as a very important part in a relationship. Like if you guys aren't like intimate, you guys can't build a relationship.
I guess it really all comes back to communication. Like if you guys have different thoughts about it, just talk about it.
Yeah.
I believe that sometimes it can be hard to, talk about things, but you need to confront that fear, or the problem is just going to be there forever.
Right.
Until one day you guys think your relationship, it's not going to work anymore, and you guys will just like end the relationship.
Right. As you guys can see, this episode was really casual. We just thought that maybe if we chat about this conversation, it would make it more fun. If you guys like it, we could do this more often.
Next week, we will be looking into different types of love.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Remember to like, subscribe, and share our channel.
Also, comment down below if you have any thoughts. You could click on the bell to get notified when we upload a new video as well.
Thank you and bye.